Hello, I'm Anna, the Yarn Randomizer, and this is episode 59 of the Yarn Randomizer in a knitting podcast. And it's pretty much all knitting all the time, rarely something else. Now, I'll be peeking over at my notes. And so I wanted to say welcome to folks who've just stumbled across this podcast. I hope you find something interesting here. And welcome back to folks who've been watching. I really appreciate you coming back and watching and commenting and everything else. You can find me as the Yarn Randomizer on Instagram and Ravelry, and that's also my Gmail address. And all that information is down below, as well as any links for any projects and patterns, and any mentions that I have are all down below. And if you don't find it below, please ask. I can always update the notes and get that out there. Now, you might be wondering, why Randomizer? And that's because I pick my yarns randomly from my stash, and I have a spreadsheet that has all my stash in it, and I have my husband pull a numbered chip every so often when I need something to think about for a project. And I usually do between 25 and 30 random picks per year to pick out projects to work on. And so that's what we kind of cover here, as well as some of my other kind of projects that just happen to come up. But the Yarn Randomizer picks are the majority of what I cover here and what I actually work on. So otherwise, please like and subscribe, which will help other people find the channel and everything. And so with all those preliminaries out of the way, let's get right down to it. I think last time I had a giveaway yarn from Laughing Cat Fiber, and this colorway is Interstellar in her MCN fingering. It even has a little cat stitch marker here with a color that goes along with the yarn. Yes, there it is. And so the name that got randomly picked from the comments was Northern Dream. And the YouTube handle was at Northern Dream Canada. So if that's you, please email me and we'll figure out how to get this out to you so you can have a chance to try out this Laughing Cat Fiber yarn. So with that out of the way, let's get down to the usual program of events here, and let me figure out where to put this in the meantime. Let's see, I'll toss it there. Ooh, there we go. All right, so what I'm wearing, I think I've worn this on the show before. This is my Campside Classic by Alicia Plummer, and this is in some hypnotic yarn, their DK, plush DK. And this is from they have a Christmas Eve cast on box each year. And this is the one from last year. And this colorway is Christmas Confections, which makes a whole lot of sense. I'm wearing it for a couple of reasons. And one, that I've been enjoying wearing it lately. We'll talk about this later, but I've been doing my weave 10 ends in a day to get things done and out of I have a lot of things that go into my work basket that the knitting's done, but they have to have some finishing work done on them. This was one of the ones that was in my finishing basket. And so I wove in all the ends, particularly for all the buttons I had attached. But I wanted to mention that, here, let me stand up really quick so you can get a better look at this. And so I really love how this turned out, and you can see the eyelets really well and everything. And this is a really soft yarn. But one of the things I wasn't happy with was I felt like the neck was really pulling down quite a bit. It was more relaxed than I liked. And so I finally took some elastic and I threaded it through the upper part of the neck and pulled that so it would pull up a little more. And I'm really happy with where it's at right now. And I wanted to explain what I used to do this. And so let's see if this stretch cord. This is cord that's for, it says just add beads, and it's called Jewelry Fundamentals. I have no idea how old this is, but it's a very kind of stretchy, kind of elastic cord, and that's what I put in the neck here. And I think I put it through doubled and then kind of tied it in at each end. And yeah, I think it's doing a great job of holding up the neck on this. Very happy with that. I think if I knit the sweater again, I might want to do something since it's think this was picked up and knit. And so maybe I'd pick up fewer stitches or something, or do a firmer cast off or something. But yeah, this alleviated the problem that I was having with it. So I really love how this fits. I love how trim the arms are. They are kind of, they're not tight, but they are definitely, they only have a little bit of ease, which I like. There's more ease around the body, which is fine. But yeah, I love how this turned out. So just wanted to update you on what I did with this when I did the finishing work on it. All right, so that's what I'm wearing. And I do have, so next, finished objects, and I do have a finished object. And so this is my sock head cowl by Kelly McClure. That's quite long. And so this was knit with 150 grams, this yarn that I use, which is called Hat Trick from River City Yarns. I think that turned out great. And this is the colorway for the Minnesota hockey team, the Wild. I remembered it this time. And so it's very simple with the same size needles, and I use size 3. You cast on and knit a bunch of 2x2 rib, you knit stockinette, and then you knit rib again at the other end. I did a German twisted cast on the cast on edge, and I did a stretchy bind off on the other end, and it seems to be a little more relaxed. And it is a where you on a 2x2 rib where you knit one, and then you slip those back and knit 2 through the back loop. Then you purl 1, purl 2 through the back loop with the previous stitch, and so on. And you repeat that pattern. Whatever the stitch is you have next, you work it the way it's worked. You work it in pattern, but then you combine it with the previous stitch with either a knit 2 through the back of the loop if it was a knit, or a purl 2, not through the back loop, just purl 2 together to get you a really, really stretchy bind off. I use that at the tops of 2x2 socks, and I'm really happy with it. I probably could have done a regular cast off here for something tighter, but I think one of the things that's nice about this is if you put this at the bottom, it'll really be able to stretch out at the bottom of the neck. Now this ended up being 2 feet long, and I think it's about 8 stitches to the inch, and it used up 148 grams of the 150 gram yarn skein. And so it ended up being a really nice size. Now I've got this mic on here. As you can see, it provides a lot of fabric around the neck, which I really like with a tubular cowl. And so you can see the bottom ribbing here. Everything. And so yeah, so I love this amount of material, and I think this will be great for either my stepson or his wife up in St. Paul, Minnesota and stuff. And you can even pull this up over the back of your head, almost like a balaclava as well. And so yeah, so it's a generous amount of material, and it'll definitely help keep warm in that Minnesota weather. Okay, I'm going to slip this back. There we go. Good. But yeah, so happy with how that turned out. I think normally you just use a 100 gram skein. It's a bit shorter and everything, but I really wanted to use as much of the skein as possible. And I love how it ended up being striped, and those kind of maroon blips just ended up all over the place on it. I think it turned out really neat. Super happy. And so this is a Christmas gift that I'll be sending to them this year. And so that gets stowed away until it gets mailed. And so yeah, that's my one finished object this week. I was kind of obsessing on this over the past week and really wanted to get it done. Now, speaking of that, so then we have to go to works in progress. And so I did devote a lot of time to this cowl and another cowl. And so we'll get to that. But right now we have to cover my year-long blanket project. Now this thing is getting significantly big. Let's see if we can get this up here. Boop. Oh, it's so heavy now. Okay. All right. So I've been making progress. I'm on the last section, which is these garter stripes on the outer edge. Let me see if I can show these. This will work better from this side. So you can see the first contrast. This is actually the third contrast color, but it's the first stripe is done. I'm working on the next contrast color now, and it's separated by the main color, a couple of lines of knitting in the main color. And so, yeah, super happy with how that's turning out. And so there'll be a total of 6 of these different color garter stripes. It'll repeat the 3 contrast colors 3 times. So we're a little more than 1/6 of the way through that, and that work will go on until the last 8. These stripes will go on until the last 8 days of the year when I do the I-cord bind off. But I've got it all calculated out, how many stitches I'm doing a day and everything, and it's about half the way around the blanket a day. And so this will finish at the end of the year. Really happy with how that's turning out. Now, the thing I'm really proud of is doing my weave in 10 a day. I got everything, but the one thing I don't have is the most recent color I've added in. I don't have that one woven in because I like to have a little space to work with. But all the other ends, let's see if I can find where that's at. I think this is it here. Nope, not that marker. Must be this one marker further. Here we go. So you'll see that the latest color has 2 ends, but all the other kind of forest of ends that were in here, they're all gone. So I've woven them all in. And so that'll make it so I can immediately go to blocking this when I get done with it at the end of the year. So yeah, let me see if I can hold it up like that. Yeah. And so yeah, this will be, I'm doing this blanket this year. I did one last year, but I will not be doing a year-long blanket next year because I'm definitely feeling the itch to be able to knit more on my smaller size projects and everything. And so this does take up a bit of time every day. It's about maybe 540 stitches a day or 520. I would have to look at the spreadsheet. But the thing is, it's like, that's only, that's less than 10 rows on a sock, right? And so it's not that big of a commitment for, to do that much every day through the whole year, or maybe that is kind of a big commitment. But as a daily thing, 10 rows on a sock is, not that big of a deal. And so it's very doable, and you get such a huge result at the end of the year. This thing weighs a ton. And I've still got 3 skeins of yarn that I haven't broken into, but that will have to be used as I'm finishing this outer edge. And so yeah. So this is the Stephen West Bubbly Blossoms blanket. And the yarn I'm using is Lankaba Mayanio from Finished Knits. And I got it because I wanted a wool blanket. This is 75% wool, 25% nylon. And it's more economical. This blanket calls for 16 skeins of DK yarn. And so paying $30 a skein or something like that would have been way out of budget. And so I was able to get a wool yarn at an affordable price through Finished Knits. I really enjoy working with this yarn. So that's where that's at right now. So there's that. And so I worked a lot on my cowl and finished it. And so the only other thing I worked on in the past 2 weeks was another one of my Yarn Randomizer projects. It's Yarn Randomizer, and I'm looking right now because I'm not sure where it's at. Yarn Randomizer project number 18 for this year, but I think it's actually in my bag over here. So give me just a second. Nope, maybe not. All right. I'm going to have to, I think, pause. I see it. Okay, never mind. All right, let me grab that. There we go. All right. Now, get back in position here. I'm straight under the camera. There we go. All right. So this next project is Yarn Randomizer pick number 18, and that pick number 18 were these leftovers from a shawl. So first let me show you, I've shown the shawl before, but I thought I'd show it again. And so this is absolutely beautiful shawl. I think it's the festive wrap. And you'll see, I'll make sure this link is in the notes. But this is one of my favorite. It was a Jimmy Beans wool craft bent box for 1 year. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I love the colors in this. It's funny because the colorway of this project, it was called Ribbon Candy. And I do not think of ribbon candy as being these colors. I usually think of them as Christmas colors. But yeah, that was the name of this. And it's got 3 different yarns. It's Neighborhood Fiber Co., Rustic Fingering, Moondrake Co. Soft Fingering, and madelinetosh Merino Light. Now, so I pulled these leftovers as pick number 18. And what I wanted to do, I have hung on a string back here, is I wanted to make sure I use them in the same order they were in the shawl. And so I got this piece of string, and this is a part of a shawl pin down here. But I basically put some kitchen twine on here, and I put each the skeins, leftover skeins of yarn on here through the middle of each of those, and I've been basically working them in order. And so this is how I've been keeping it straight. And so it's ended up working pretty well. And so let me show you how far I've gotten. So I've used 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on the 5th color now. There are 18 different colors. So let me give you a look at this project. So I think you can see it there. Yeah, so it's going in the same color order. And it's got these, there's a knit 2 together, and then there's a twisted stitch that travels along, and then there's an eyelet also. Let's see if I can open that up. Yeah, you can see it along there, that give it this kind of swirling kind of look. Now this bottom wants to curl up a little bit, and that'll block out pretty well because I have made this cowl before. But this is the Park City cowl by Ann Budd, and it's an interesting project. Let's see, actually, if I hold it this way, I can get another good look at that. And it has an unusual cast on and an unusual cast off, and that's called the Channel Island cast on, which produces this sort of bumpy picot type of edge when you cast it on. And it's an interesting cast on that's part of the pattern, and then you do a similar cast off there. But this is it's not a difficult knit. The techniques are pretty simple, and you just have to keep your spacing right. There are some points at the beginning of round where you're moving your beginning of round marker as this pattern is kind of winding its way around the cowl as it goes up. And so you sometimes shift that beginning of round marker depending on what you're doing there, because you want to keep the number of stitches kind of balanced. Because at some point you're doing a reduction on one side with the increase on the other side of beginning of round. So you need to move that beginning of round marker over as a result. And so, yeah, and so it's a really fun and easy knit. And this is really potato chippy, as far as knitting goes, because it's like, ooh, I want to get to the next color. And it's been fun putting it in the same order. Let's see if I can hold this one up, and you can see how that's doing that. Let's see, there is that. And there's those colors. So we've got a similar thing going on here. I think that fold up is hiding that one color there. Yeah. And so, yeah. So it's progressing along with the same color sequence, and looking forward to having this one done. I made this before, and it was actually a gift I gave to my mom. And she was not, you never know how people are going to like your gift knits or not. And so she was not crazy about it because I think I don't know, I don't think she enjoyed cowls very much. And so I always encourage her, if there was something she got that she wasn't going to enjoy wearing, that she give it away to somebody. And so that was one of the items that kind of was given away. So it's in somebody's, I hope somebody's enjoying it somewhere. But I thought it would be really fun to knit another one, and this will be a little longer than the last one, and I'm looking forward to finishing that. But yeah, easy pattern, and really a nice result. So I'll link my other project that I made with this pattern before, so you can see what that one looked like. So yeah, so that's the only other work in progress that I have, other than, like, I've got a variety of projects going on back here, but this is the one I did work on this past week. If I didn't do work on it, it's sitting back here waiting. And you can see that my list of projects in Ravelry and my stash is always up to date. And so you can look there and you can see my actual full list of whips. And it's never really, I don't get too bad, I don't think. I mean, people get to enjoy their works in progress and stuff, but I've got 8 works in progress right now. It's not too bad. Usually I'm more closer to 6 and everything, but I've definitely had some real desires to cast on some things lately, and so there it is. All right, so that is the cowl, and so after that, I did want to talk about weaving in 10 ends a day. So I had great progress with my blanket, finished my sweater. I wove in the ends on that cowl and the other cowl, and so that's been a good habit. I've got more items that are sitting in my finishing basket that I need to work on, and so I will get those done as they come by, as I get to the ends and finishing work day by day. But it's been nice to kind of get to it. It always feels good getting something out of my finishing basket. All right, and so I encourage you to do the same and I've got a hashtag, I'll put it down here, weave in 10 daily 2025 is what I've been using. All right, so now it's down to the Yarn Randomizer picks. Ooh, there was something else I wanted to show you. I may have to step out and grab that. But this is Yarn Randomizer pick number 22 for this year, and it is some Kroy, Patons North America Kroy. They're sock yarn, and this is a 75-25 yarn. I feel like it's a little plumper than your standard fingering yarn, has a little more heft to it. And so I just have 76 yards of this left. And the question was what to do with it. So I will post in about a week, I'll post up my video kind of as I navigated through and tried to figure out what to do with it. I'll put that up. But I did want to show you what I've made with this yarn before. So the first thing is I've made these vertigo socks. And I've made this sock pattern a couple of times, but this is all Kroy. This is their red and the Gentry gray. I could say sort of my Ohio State socks, but or the Ohio State. You gotta say that right. But I am not an alumni of the Ohio State University. I'm a Miami University grad, so I kind of joke about that a little bit. But yeah, so it's a really neat pattern, these vertigo socks, and these were actually cuffed down, and I did them cuffed down. And but instead of what was done in the pattern, I did these stripes using helical knitting. And so I'll see if I can link a good tutorial on helical knitting, but I feel like it's great because you don't have any particular place where you're changing colors. The two colors just basically chase each other as you're working down the sock. And so, yeah, so those turned out really nice. And I love the sturdiness of Kroy socks. They, I mean, the softer stuff is nice and everything, but there's just something about these that there's an oomph to them that's really nice, and I really like socks made with Kroy. The other pair I made was with this, and my projects will have the colorways. I think this is Dad's Jacquard, and I love this colorway. And I used this Gentry gray with it. This was a Yarn Randomizer pick, I think, from last year. And so yeah, I used the Gentry gray for the heels, toes, and cuffs. Now, with this leftover, I have 76 yards, and I think it's, let's see, I think I have it in my notes, 23 grams of this. Now, the reality is when I did heels, tufts, and toes, yes, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. But when I did this on these, it took 89.6 yards. So, and I talk about this in the finding what to do with this. I wouldn't be able to do another pair of socks and have all three of these pieces use the Kroy, the leftover Kroy that I have. And in reality, the Kroy socks that I have in my stash right now, I have matched up contrast colors with the main colors already. And so I didn't really have some Kroy I wanted to match up with this leftover Gentry gray. And I don't think, although I think you can do this, I feel like the Kroy doesn't blend well, doesn't work well with other fingering sock yarns. Maybe with a sport sock yarn it might work, just because it has more plumpness. I mean, this yarn, let's see, take a look at this. It does not have, let's look at the yardage. The yardage per skein, for 50-gram skein, is 166. So you're talking about 332 yards for a 100-gram skein, which is definitely lower amount of yardage than your standard fingering. So I feel like it doesn't go with the other fingerings. But I thought about this, and so I have a pattern in my library called the pie cloth, and I'll put in a picture of that. And I think this will work up. I've made it before and I ran short on yarn with it, and I did end up using it. It's a pie wash, kind of a washcloth or whatever, but it's a really cool pattern, and I thought I would love to try that pattern with this yarn and see if I can finish the whole thing this time. So I am going to make another kind of little mini circular lace kind of thing with this, because I just love doing those. They're so much fun. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I hope this doesn't glare too much light. Let's see if I can grab this to show you. This is in my window here. Oh, there we go. If you haven't seen this before, and it's going to be a little hard to see, but this is a different pattern. I'll link it below. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I loved, well, okay, I won't say I loved making this, because this is actually made with a mohair yarn. Now, if it were regular lace yarn, it would have been nicer, but still, it turned out really kind of amazing. Let's see. Show it. Let's see. Trying to show that lace is tricky, but I love this thing, and I really enjoy knitting these types of objects. Now the pie cloth, I will definitely, the one I made before, and what I'll do with this one, and you're probably going to cringe and think I'm awful, but I will use it as a washcloth at the sink, because I prefer fingering weight, and I do enjoy using a wool washcloth for doing kind of what I'm doing at the sink as far as cleaning what dishes. Most of it gets done in the dishwasher, but I do use that for occasional things, and I like how it felts up a little bit and really does a good job cleaning. So this is destined to become a washcloth. So that's what I'm going to do with that. All right. So now I wanted to update you. So I'm going to have to step out for a moment and get something I want to show you. I will be right back. See if I can find this. Okay. Oh no, it's right behind me. What was I thinking? It's actually right here. Let me pick this up. Sit back down. I'm centered. All right. So this was yarn pick number 9, excuse me, Yarn Randomizer pick number 9 for this year. And I have not started a project on it yet. I had a project I thought I wanted to do with it. And as I've been working up gauge swatches, I didn't end up liking how it was working up. Now this is Madelinetosh Prairie, which I don't think they make anymore, and this is a lace weight single ply yarn, and this colorway is Abiquiu, which I think is just beautiful. And Abiquiu is related to Ghost Ranch down in New Mexico. And so I love the turquoise colors and the browns and everything in there. And I have enough of this. I have a total of 1,680 yards, 2 skeins of this yarn. And so I had a pattern, decided I searched again. I've been doing some gauge swatches. I need to do another one. But as I looked around, all of a sudden I stumbled across a pattern. And if you can believe this or not, this is a pattern I actually already have in my library. And it's called Birthday 61 Sweater by Ancastrict. And I'll put in a picture. This sweater uses lace weight yarn, and it uses size 0 needles, and does, I think it's a half fisherman rib for the entire sweater. And I mean, it sounds like insanity, but I have enough to be able to do almost, I think the third size calls for 1,700 yards of yarn, so I have a little less than that. But I would be fine with maybe elbow sleeves or a shorter. I would try with maybe a shorter body, because I do like my sweaters to come down to my hip bones, kind of not over my butt and everything. I like them to stop a little short, more cropped. And if necessary, I can also make the sleeves elbow sleeves perhaps or something. But I think this is the pattern I'm going to give a go now with this yarn. I think it will look lovely. It's a simple all over half fisherman's rib. And so we'll see. So I did try a swatch with size 2.5 needles. I'm a tight knitter, and I assumed I would need a bit bigger, but that ended up being a little too open. And I also made a mistake on the cast on. I actually ended up taking some worsted weight yarn to try the cast on that she has. She has a cast on that looks a little bit like an Italian cast on, but it is not. It's a simpler cast on, and it works well with ribbing. And so I did something wrong with it when I first tried it, and so I used some worsted weight to test it out. Now I understand what I did wrong, and I'm going to give it a try again, and I'm going to go down to size 1.5 to see if I can get gauge with that. That is a sweater size 1.5 needles with half fisherman's rib. Will be long in the making, I think, but I think it may work out. So we'll see. I'm going to try that. So yeah, and I think, is that everything about that? Yeah. Okay. So now we're down to acquisitions, and no yarn this week. Let me set some things down here. But I did get a couple of books, and then I have something else I want to show you as well. So I have to say I was watching Needles at the Ready, which I really enjoy watching, and they were talking about a shawl, and the only place that shawl pattern was available was in Lina, if that's how it's pronounced. It's the Winter 2022 issue, and that pattern was the Simple Dimple shawl. And so I meant to put in little bookmarkers for this. There we go. I think that's it right there. And I don't know, actually, you know what I'll do is I'll put in a picture of that, but also hold up that pattern page. And so it's a really neat sort of a basket weave type pattern, but I really liked it. And so I decided to go ahead and pick up the book, because they didn't have a way to buy that individual pattern online. So I picked up this issue. Now I picked this up at the Sated Sheep, and so I was able to find it there and picked it up. And while I was there, I decided I'd never had a Lina magazine, and I'd also never picked up Pom Pom before, and so I decided I'd pick one of those up. And so I picked up this issue of Pom Pom, which is number 30. This is the Lina magazine's Winter 2022. I think I did say that. And the Pom Pom is number 30. And one of the things I really like in here is this shawl. It's a big rectangular brioche shawl in 2 colors that's on the cover, called Seelig. And so, yeah, and the whole issue is called Sea Change. And again, there's some really nice sweaters. Here's another one of the ones that I like in here. This sweater here. And that one is astragal and stuff. But yeah, you can, I'll link for both of these magazines. I will link to the source page on Ravelry, which shows all the patterns that are in that issue of the magazine. So yeah. So I decided to pick up a couple of these. I'd never had issues of these magazines before. And so, yeah, they're really beautiful, really nice. And so then the only other thing I wanted to show you was it? So my husband is a big thrift store shopper. It's, I think, a little bit of a way of life for him. And what he found, he sent me, he asked me about it, but basically he had found this, this vest. And so this is a Fair Isle. I think it's Fair Isle. This is Fair Isle. I think it's just 2 colors for each row. And the company tag has been cut out of here, but it says it's 100% wool Shetland, made in Scotland. And so he decided to pick it up. I can't remember what he picked it up for, but it was definitely a reasonable price. And this ended up, this is just beautiful, and I cannot wait to wear this. When he bought it, you know, it said extra large, and he thought it might fit him, but it's a little small for him, but it'll definitely work for me. So I get the benefit of his thriftiness. I also have, I will pull it out sometime, I was at a thrift store and I found a Dale of Norway sweater, one of those very elaborate ski sweaters that they sell, and I found it for sale in the thrift shop for just $5. And so I'll show that sometime. It was almost not worn at all. It looked new, and so it was really lovely. So I highly recommend going to thrift shops and looking around, because you will occasionally find a real gem in the thrift shops. And as a knitter, I can totally appreciate this, and I can tell you, I really admire people who do all over color work, vests and sweaters. I don't know that I will ever do that. And so here's my cheater's way of getting there. Yeah, so that is all of that. So finally, we're down to stash management. So if you're new here, I have a challenge to myself to use up twice as much yarn as I bring in. And so I have brought in, so I'll put up my little graph. And so I am at 28,000, that sounds insane, but 28,275 yards of yarn in. And I have used up 22,000, or used up or given away 22,967.7 yards out. Now I'm trying to match twice as much out as in. So I've covered about 40.61% of the yarn I've brought in. Now my commitment at the end of the year is, if I have not used up as twice as much yarn going out as coming in, I am going to destash to make up the difference, and that'll be to your benefit. So so there may be some substantial giveaways at the end of the year, but I am gaining ground. As long as I don't buy more yarn this year. I will say that I am, if I see something I really love, I will buy it. But I'm trying to be a little more restrained in the last half of the year here. I'll definitely be acquiring yarn when I go to Knitting New Mexico in November, but at Knit One Hike Too. But yeah, oh yeah, figure it out again. It'll be good discipline for me to even it out at the end of the year. And again, you guys will get to enjoy that. All right, so I have a skein to give away. And I was looking through my yarn, and I thought it would be really fun to give away this skein of, this is Stitch Together Studio. She does not dye yarn anymore, but she had some great colorways. And this one is in her smooth sock, which is a 75-25, 463 yards. If you remember last episode, I talked a lot of the independent yarn dyers have that 75-25 that has 463 yards in the skein. It's fairly common. But yeah, this is self-love, and there's some really fantastic little speckled parts of this and lots of great pinks in here. And this is called self-love. And so what we'll do is we'll use the keyword of love. So mention the word love in your comments, which I think would be pretty easy for folks, and you will have an opportunity to win this skein, beautiful skein of yarn. And remember, don't mention giveaways or anything like that, because that's when the scammers show up. And so yeah, just mention love in your comment and you will be in for a chance to win this yarn in the next episode. Now, let's see. Oh, channel income. I am up to lifetime income on my channel of 390. I made a big mistake last time when I posted my last episode 58. I forgot to turn on the monetization when I published it, and so I missed out on a lot of potential income there. But I still, even so, I've made it up to 390 bucks. And so I am pretty certain that I will achieve, I'll be over 400 next time. And so I'm just about certain about this, but I think there will be a $100 LYS giveaway next episode. And so the way that will work is, for next episode, when I open that up, just talk about what your favorite local yarn shop is, whether that's actually local to you or is an online shop or wherever. And whoever I randomly pick will get a $100 gift certificate to their favorite shop. And so I did that last, I think it was November, and so I plan to do it again this October. So maybe we can, if the number of views I get go up, I'll get to do this more often. We'll get there. And for anybody who doesn't know, I've been doing that rotation that way: $100 certificate to your local yarn shop, 100 to charity, and then 100 to cover my utilities. And I'm kind of rotating through it. At some point, if I'm able to give away a certificate once a month, that would be awesome and stuff. So we'll see. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. This is not a big channel, but little bits of income come in. And it's set up, actually, it's really cool. It deposits to my checking account on a regular basis. And so, yeah, so it's pretty cool. All right. And so I think I'm down to video, kind of what I'm watching, what I'm reading. If you're not interested in that, thank you for watching. And please, again, like and subscribe. That helps out. And oh yeah, and my video favorite, that's the first thing. So my video favorite for this week is one from Adam Savage. So if you know who he is, he was in Mythbusters, and he has a channel called Tested, which I will put in the notes below. And I am a member of Tested. I watch parts of his videos regularly and everything, and I like supporting his channel. And but there is this great video that he had that was a TED Talk, and I can't remember what year it was, but the name of the video is How Simple Ideas Lead to Scientific Discoveries. And I will be honest, watching this video definitely makes me emotional about science. And that's probably about as nerdy as a person can get, but yeah, it is, I feel like, a really great video that talks about how about science in a way that is just awesome. And so here's the kind of image of it, and I'll put the link there. And so yeah, it's not a long one, but I feel like it's a really great video that really also speaks to what I love about science. And then so yeah. And so there's that. And then what I've been watching. So I'm continuing to watch Peacemaker and season 2, and it is absolutely off the wall and so funny. And I am crazy about John Cena. He is such a funny guy, and he's doing such an amazing job in this series. And I just get a big kick out of watching him. And it's definitely viewer beware. It's very over the top, very there's some definite violence and all that kind of stuff in there, and just it is definitely a bit on the outrageous side, but I really enjoy it. And so, yeah, so that's the main stuff. And I'm really curious. I've seen some ads for a series that's coming up on Apple TV. I watched Peacemaker on Max, and then on Apple TV, they've got a new series coming up called Pluribus that looks intriguing to me. And they're really giving minimal information, but it definitely looks like it's a sci-fi sort of thing. And Apple TV does a bang up job on science fiction series. It's just amazing. And then I did try out a series. I'm trying to remember how I heard about it. I think I saw on Heavy Spoilers, a channel that I like. They covered kind of the last episode of a series called Alice in Borderland. And of their third season. Now, I had not heard of the show before, and I had not watched it, so I looked it up, and I was curious, and I watched the first episode, and it was pretty interesting, but there was one kind of aspect of it that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, and that would be a little hard to explain. I'll save that. I'm going to watch another episode and see if I like it. If I don't, I will explain why next time. But I'm going to give that more of a try. And then the other thing I started watching, and again, I talk about what I'm watching and I go like, man, what is this saying about me as a person who, what the kind of videos I consume. Understand that with my husband, I'm watching things like Heartbeat and Unforgotten, and we watch a lot of was it Acorn and BBC America. We watch a lot of British programs, a lot of Masterpiece Theater, that kind of stuff. So it's like I don't only watch these really bizarre programs, but on Amazon, I have watched the first 5 episodes of Gen V season 2, and it's a series that's related to the series The Boys, which I've also watched all of that. And again, similar to Peacemaker, this stuff is way over the top and really outrageous. And my husband doesn't enjoy watching these types of things, and so these are things I watch on my own. But if you like that really crazy kind of over the top kind of stuff, they are outrageous. They are just really fun, and so I did watch all of that. And so, yeah, so I'm starting to get a little concerned about what I've been watching says about me, but oh well. And so what I'm reading or listening to is I'm continuing along with Robert E. Howard's Conan the Cimmerian Barbarian by Finn J.D. John. He's basically accumulated all the works by Robert E. Howard about Conan the Barbarian, which were all written like between 1930 and 1936. It's unbelievable that that's how old it is, and what a short time period they were all written in. Because regardless of the movies and stuff, there were a lot of Conan the Barbarian stories, and I read those all when I was a young teenager, and absolutely loved them. And I'm enjoying the heck out of listening to this, and I particularly appreciate he gives like when it was written, when it was published, who published it, and he gives a flavor. Like he talks about the stories, whether it was what time frame in Conan's kind of whole story it's from, and the quality of the story and everything. So it's really been a fascinating listen. I'm listening to a novel version story, a novel length story right now, and it was funny because this Finn J.D. Johnson, it says this is like a greatest hits, and they've like folded everything into this story that kind of strikes on so many of the themes in other stories about Conan, and so it's really cool. It's really fun to listen to. I'm listening to it because if I try to read at night in bed, I just fall asleep. So, and I listen while I'm driving and while I'm doing chores around the house typically. All right, and what I'm playing is the same stuff, World of Warcraft, and I play with my brother almost every day. And then I'm also playing Peak. I play Peak with my 3 sons. I have 3 sons in their 20s, and We play Peek to we play online together basically every week to kind of stay connected and have fun together. And it's just a blast to play with them. I absolutely love it. I was always, when I played video games with them when they were small, I was the one they'd hand the controller to beat the big bosses and those kind of things. But now the situation is kind of reversed. They're helping take care of me in these video games, and it's pretty funny. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to stay connected. And so, yeah, so playing those. But other than that, that's kind of everything that's going on. But yeah, and so, yeah, it feels like we're having a little warmer weather still, although I was able to wear the sweater the whole episode and not burst into flames here. It is, I think, what is the temperature outside right now? It is 83, but I have my fan going and stuff, so I'm fine. But yeah, I'm waiting for that real sweater weather to kick in. And we're getting down into the 40s at night, which is really nice. I love it and everything. So yeah, so other than that, I really hope you're taking good care of yourself. That's really important. And take time to do that. And also, I hope you are experiencing kindness and giving kindness in return out into the world. And also, I really hope you are enjoying your knit.